The Maple Leafs bested the Bruins in a brutal playoff-like game. We're going to chat about it and also go through our 3 stars of the game on today's edition of Locked On Leafs.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Leafs podcast, your one-stop shop for all things Leafs. I'm your host, Mike DiStefano from TSN 1050 Toronto Radio, also known as Al's brother on TSN's Overdrive and TSN 1050's Leafs Lunch. Joining me, my co-host, Dave Morassutti from Sportsnet, also writer for the NHLPA. Locked On Leafs is a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast, so be sure to subscribe for free wherever you get your podcast from. You can now also catch us on video form on YouTube. Search up Locked On Leafs. We've crossed over the 300 sub mark. Our goal is to hit 500 subs, and once we do have a giveaway. What did I do with that? Oh, no, did I give it away? Nah, here it is. Here's the giveaway. Austin Matthews. We're giving away the stick here, Timmy's stick. Steel's still on here, so there could be an autograph. Could be an autograph on this stick here, and if you want it,
ticker right there.
it basically is. And if you want it, go and subscribe to us on YouTube. And then once we get to 1,000 subs, you got something that you want to give away as well. Something a little bit. Well, if this turns out to be signed, I don't know if you can get much better than that.
I
But
was gonna say,
you got something in store for 1,000 subs. So we're a long ways from that. 500's the next goal. So let's get there, everybody. Go follow us on YouTube. Locked On Leafs. All right, Maple Leafs with a 6-4 win over the Boston Bruins tonight. This was a brutal game, man. Like a brutal game. Not in terms of like the actual, entertainment factor, because it was highly entertaining. Brutal as in like the big bad Bruins came to play. And they came to play dirty tonight. And the officiating, the things got out of hand. 3 different Maple Leafs left the game tonight. So we'll get you some updates on those players and, give you our 3 stars of the game as well. But when you talk about the Leafs Bruins matchup, that's typically what you expect, though, isn't it? Just like no matter what, it's a random Tuesday game in March, but that had some playoff vibes to it.
oh, it certainly did. And like this is kind of when I mentioned in our preview that I expected this to be a physical one, that didn't expect it to go that far. I knew it was going to be a feisty one. Like the Bruins, they know that they're going to try to play that game against the Leafs because you want the Leafs to lose their composure, whether it's taking bad penalties or just getting rattled, and you try to take advantage of that. But I give the Leafs a lot of credit because it could have gone overboard at many points in the games. The Leafs did their best to ensure that they didn't take a lot of retaliatory plays in this game.
Yeah, they did their best to kind of remain composed despite the many, many efforts on Boston Bruins and to try and get them to engage in some stuff. Brad Marchand up to his old tricks. Like Marchand is such a little like dirty rat bastard. Like honestly, he is. He's such a
Oh yeah.
piece of garbage. Like I just can't stand the guy. And it's funny because he was starting to win me over a little bit. Remember when he was getting involved with the TikToks and the Twitter controversy? He was kind of starting to win some fans over. And then when he did that thing with Tristan Jarry, got suspended, and he's been back to being a piece of garbage ever since. And today it was back to his old tricks. I think I sent over a clip that maybe we could kind of play here. Now at the end of the second period, Brad Marchand, for absolutely no reason, just decides to take it upon himself. The buzzer goes, and he gets a swift little 2-hand hack at John Tavares for absolutely no reason. Yeah, let's play this clip here. So for those on YouTube, you can watch it happen. For those who are listening to it, if you watch the game live, you know exactly what we're talking about. But Brad Marchand, the whistle goes, and Tavares is trying to skate off, and then Marchand just gives him a 2-hander right to the lower back. And there were some words that were said afterwards. Not much came of it, but then Marchand ended up having some extra words for the officials. Yeah, look at that. Just
away from the play.
Like, if that was Michael Bunting, okay, because he is a bit of a rat himself and probably gets under your skin. But, like, what the hell did Tavares do in that game?
Yeah,
Deserve
and
that.
I like the fact that John Tavares gave him a little, he had a little conversation with Marchand. The best part though, and this is probably the one thing I enjoyed from the refs tonight, which was they weren't taking the crap. Like they pretty much probably told Brad Marchand, could have given you a penalty right there. We didn't. And he probably said something about all the calls that the Bruins were getting against them. And they said, all right, that's it. 10 minutes. Like he probably said something really bad.
That
Like,
that was an emphatic too. It was just like, all right, boom, misconduct, 10 minutes, not playing the opening 10 in the third period, and he ended up getting that misconduct. But it's just it's totally Brad Marchand, man. Like the guy's such a clown. He's a guy you love to have on your team, but you absolutely hate him as an opponent. And
yeah.
there's no player, I think, in the history of the NHL that I have personally grinds my gears like Brad Marchand and stuff like that. But that wasn't the only like dirty play that was out there tonight for the Maple Leafs. Like Justin Holl ends up getting taken down in front of the net. He gets a puck to the head. He leaves the game. And then Ilya Lyubushkin takes a sucker punch from Taylor Hall. Let's pull that clip up right now because that one was even more egregious. That was the most egregious play of them all. There was another knee on knee, a Holla onto Nylander. He did get a penalty for it. But personally, I wonder if he could get suspended for that. We'll pull that one up in a moment. But here's the hit on Ilya Lyubushkin if you missed it. Lyubushkin left the game after this, got a sucker punch to Taylor Hall sucker punches him right in the jaw, and he
Yeah.
drops like a sack of potatoes. It didn't seem at first like it was that
That
hard of a
that
punch,
angle from the side really
but
shows how bad that was.
exactly, exactly. At first, they showed an angle from like the back, and I was like, that didn't seem too hard. Like maybe it was like a sell job from Lyubushkin. And then when you see the side angle, the one that we got up here right now on video form on YouTube, you could see the connection right to the jaw. And it's like, I don't want to say it's as bad as it, but like there were shades of Todd Bertuzzi there. Just a total, sucker punch of a guy right from the back, right to the jaw, someone who wasn't looking or anticipating it. And luckily there wasn't a pile up afterwards, like we saw with this Steve Moore Todd Bertuzzi situation. But he gets a penalty there. The Maple Leafs do score on the ensuing power play. But how many games? That's got to be a suspension.
The
That's got to be like that. That you can't have that in the NHL. That is just despicable.
unsuspecting player not able to defend himself. What really pissed me off more about that play, and look, I understand there's gonna be some bias from local media. I don't know if you saw Joe Haggerty's tweet about the play. I'll pull it up because that really got me going. He basically says, I'm gonna pull it up so that those on YouTube can read. I'll read it to those who are on audio. Ilya Bushkin drills Taylor Hall from behind. It
Kind
wasn't
of
from
did. I'm
behind.
not gonna lie. Kind of did.
It was a questionable hit. It was
Yeah.
definitely a questionable hit. I mean, Taylor Hall got right up right after the fact, but he says drills Taylor Hall from behind into the boards, then falls to the ice like a prone turtle when Hall pops him in the side of the head with a glove. I thought the Oscars were Sunday night. No call on the board. Leafs on the power play. I got really, really annoyed with that one.
I'll in Joe's defense,
The Taylor
I'm not
Hall
gonna
hit
say
was
I
not
had a
great.
similar outlook on it when it first happened because it didn't look that bad at first. And then when you saw that side profile, you're like, oh, never mind. That was totally egregious and disgusting, a despicable play. At first, it kind of just looked like a push to the back of the head. And it's like, okay, we see that often, but it's a full on like right hook across the dude's jaw from behind. That's where it crosses a line
Yeah.
there. And I would hope that he would take that back after seeing multiple angles. And I really hope that's the case. You can't sit there and say the guy turtled and he was an Oscar worthy performance. The guy didn't come back for the rest of the game. They opted to play with. You're going to tell me that in order to get a 2-minute power play, they're going to opt for a 4 defensive unit for the rest of the game? No, the guy was legitimately
We're
hurt and
talking about
injured.
Ilya Lyubushkin.
Right, who's not a soft player, man. Like, this is sandpaper, dude. Like, there's not a chance that he was just going to roll over like that and turtle unless he really got him and hurt him. And clearly, he was held out of the game with what Sheldon Keefe is referring to as precautionary reasons. So hopefully, he'll be able to play Thursday against Winnipeg. We'll get an update on him. We'll get an update on Holl as well, hopefully tomorrow at practice. But I think I did see Morgan Riley say it seemed like Lyubushkin was in good spirits after the game. They had a chance to speak with him, obviously, back in the dressing room. But I mean, dude, that's how many games? How many games for Taylor Hall? Because he's got to get something.
If Auston Matthews got 2 games for that cross check to the face, that's where I start. Taylor Hall too. I think Taylor Hall has a bit of a record, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that,
Here,
but
I'll pull that up. I'll pull that up.
like he had a he. I don't know if you. I saw like earlier in the year he had a bit of a questionable call on Nathan McKinnon. I don't know if you remember where he got caught McKinnon up high, and
Yeah.
I know
Years ago, he was suspended. He had a 2 games. He had a kneeing on Cal Clutterbuck years ago when he was in Edmonton.
so that might be the only one there. But that's what,
Looks like it.
like about 5-6 years ago. So
Yeah, that was back when he was that was 2013. So that's a long time ago. So it's been a long time since he's been suspended. But I mean, that's just you can't have that. I'm sorry, you
no,
can't have those types of
retaliatory plays.
plays. I think you're right. Like 2 games, maybe you give him a third, 3 games, perhaps. Like I don't know, man. That's just because it's a retaliation play too.
Yeah,
It wasn't a hockey play. Whereas Matthews was, it wasn't really a hockey play either, but at least it was still
he
within the
didn't
realm of
injure a guy. He didn't. It wasn't. You know,
they were
it was.
looking at each other, right? Like they
Yeah,
were looking at each other and it
he
kind
didn't
of went
sucker
up.
punch him. Like Rasmus Dahlin had a chance to kind of defend himself on that in
Right.
that play.
Not to justify what Matthews did either. He took
No,
his suspension and he dealt with it and he sat out for a couple of games. But I agree. I mean, 2 games, maybe 3, 4, perhaps. For that, I didn't like the play at all, man. I didn't like it one bit. I don't know why. I'm surprised he didn't get tossed out of the game for that. To be honest with you, and like this was a chippy game, man. Like there was a point there in the second period where I thought this thing was going to get out of hand. It kind of slowed down in the third. I think I'm going to go ahead and assume that there was some conversations had between the officials and the teams and the coaches in between periods that said, "Hey, this thing's getting out of hand real quick. Let's not make this a habit in the third period. Smarten up and go out there and play some hockey," because it did start to, kind of settle down a little bit in the third. Don't get me wrong, the Bruins were finishing checks. That's for damn sure. But it wasn't as dirty as it was. I mean, it's because Marchand wasn't on the ice either for a large portion of that period. But there was one other play that I wanted to highlight in terms of it being a dirty play, and that's the knee on knee Erik Kallgren on William Nylander. He did also get a penalty for this, but the reason why I want to highlight it is just because we've seen plenty of knee on knee hits result in some serious injuries, and we saw it happen earlier this year. Yeah, that one right there. He totally stuck his knee out. Like he lost the puck and he didn't want Nylander to go away, and you could see it right here. He holds it there and kind of
yeah.
trips
There-
him, and that's a blatant knee on knee. And luckily Nylander did not get hurt on the play, but that's
I,
an automatic 2-gamer.
so that's the
Like,
thing right there.
oh,
Like fans were saying, "Oh, it's also Nylander's fault." Nylander, you can see he kind of moves himself, and as you said, Holla kind of sticks his leg out and extends it. Like if you look, he extends his leg all the way out to keep it in to strengthen the leg, make sure he has a strong position to get it in Nylander's way there. Like that was not
right.
Nylander did not initiate that. Holla clearly was the aggressor in that play.
I mean, it's
Like
kind of similar to was it Spezza who had a knee on knee play earlier this year?
there was somebody else who
Was
had
he
a
the one
knee
who
on
got
him.
suspended? And it was like a stupid suspension. What was his suspension for?
No, Spezza was the one on. That was the one in the Winnipeg game for the retaliatory play off of. I think
Oh
when
yeah,
Liljegren got
no,
hit.
yeah, you're right. That's not what that was. I was thinking of something else. But like last year, Alex Edler got suspended, or a couple of years ago, for a knee on knee on Zach Hyman, and it was a very similar play. It's like the puck was going the other way, and you're just trying to stop up the player, but by doing that, you're risking injury to not only
Yeah.
yourself but definitely the other player, and like that's not the type of stuff that you need in the game either, especially on open ice like that. Look, Hall is lucky that Nylander didn't get hurt there because it could have been a lot worse. And if Nylander does get hurt, then there's a suspension for sure. It
Yeah.
didn't garner that much attention just because it was such a dirty game overall, but it was a play that I noticed and I wanted to kind of highlight there because that's a game typically, or that's a play typically we do see get an automatic two gamer. But I don't know. I don't know if we see anything come of it, to be honest with you.
I'm pretty sure it was the like Neil Pionk had the kneeing penalty like suspension on Liljegren, and then Spezza
That's what that's
retaliated
what it
with
was.
that on that play. So I think that's where you're seeing that there was a kneeing play involved with the Leafs this year. It's just that Liljegren was on the other end of it.
That's what it was, and that was a two gamer. It was
Yep,
2
2
games, right?
games.
That seems to be the norm for a knee on knee play like that. It's an automatic 2 games. I'll be curious to see if Holl gets a suspension there for that. All right, we'll get back into the game and talk about some of the good things that happened because the Maple Leafs did put 6 goals up on the board tonight. They did come away with 2 points, and they are now firmly ahead of the Boston Bruins in the standings. So we'll chat a little bit about the good things about tonight, not just the dirty stuff that was going on the Bruins side. We'll do that all when we return. But first, let me tell you about one of today's show sponsors, and that's Built Bar. This is the time of year that I've pretty much given up on all my New Year's resolutions, Dave. But not this year. I'm sticking to my resolution to eat right, and that's thanks to Built Bar. It is almost feels like it's not really a resolution because I actually enjoy eating them. The puffs, they're fantastic. If you haven't tried them, you're missing out. They're one of the Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. They're a fan favorite, some incredible flavors: yummy cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. Oh, so good. They're going to be your new favorite bars. All of our Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. That is 100% real chocolate. They're low calorie, high protein. You can replace your candy bars with these. They're better anyway. I mean, a typical candy bar, you look at it, anywhere from 2 to 300 calories. A Built Bar, 130 calories, just 4 grams of sugar, just 4 net carbs, but loaded with 17 grams of protein. You can get them in so many different flavors: mint brownie, coconut almond, and new this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They're all delicious, and new flavors coming out all the time. If you think that their flavor might be good, they'll probably end up making it, and it will probably be delicious and good for you. At Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, then they figure out how to make it healthy. And I don't know how, but they seem to pull it off each and every time, Dave. Our listeners, you can go to built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15. That's built.com using the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your next order. Use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. I'm Mike DiStefano. We've got Dave Morassutti alongside myself. We are your host of the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leafs pod. You can find it audio version wherever you find your podcast. You can also find it in video format on YouTube. That's Locked On Leafs. All right, let's there are a bunch of shenanigans. We didn't even get to actually mention that Petr Mrazek went down with an injury as well. That was something that we forgot to mention because it didn't happen through a dirty play. That wasn't a dirty play. Just kind of tweaked his groin again. It sounds like that's the word that's coming out of practice right now. And Sheldon Keefe said it could be a while. So just when Mrazek was starting to find his game, it seemed like a couple of good games in a row. Bad luck again. It ends up going down, tweaking his groin, and who knows how long this one's going to be. Last time he missed a month or 6 weeks or so, and that could be the same predicament this time around. The good thing is that Jack Campbell, his return is right around the corner. Practiced today for the first time, had a full practice in Boston, expects to practice tomorrow, and then potentially could be ready to go and play come Thursday against the Jets. Or you could go back to Erik Kallgren, who I thought had a decent game up until the third period. You can even say that like a couple of those goals in the third period, or both those third period goals rather, kind of fluky. The one I would say,
The
Taylor
Lazar
Hall made a
one,
nice
you kind
power
of
move. that one maybe you'll want to save a little bit, but that's just kind of a nice move for Holl. For a second, I thought that was going to get overturned, but I'm not going to gripe about that one. It was kind of a soft goal
I
interference,
I
to
was
be
worried
honest.
about that Boston Bruins fan that was losing his mind that was
Oh
called.
my god, I know. He must have had a bet on Taylor Hall scoring tonight. Like, he must have placed a wager at Bet Online of Taylor Hall getting a goal, and he was like, "Yes, cashed." And then he saw it there waving off. He's like, "No!" Like, I wonder if he had like a mortgage payment on that bet getting cashed, and he was super excited when it ended up getting reversed and then ultimately being called a goal. But no, I didn't think that he played too bad tonight. Like I said, the one goal. I mean, who was it? Was it Holla? No, who scored the one? Clifton's point shot, and then Lazar. Yeah,
Yeah.
Kurt Lazar, just a super weird bounce off the back of the boards, and I don't think Kallgren really knew where the puck was. Ends up just going under his arm. But coming in relief, not bad. Ended up holding on and getting the 2 points for the Buds. So I thought Kallgren came through. So if he does have to play Thursday, if Jack Campbell's not ready to go, I think the Leafs will feel comfortable knowing that he had a decently solid outing in Boston.
Yeah, and this is a guy who's been thrown into the fire before. I mean, his first appearance for the Leafs was, "Hey, Petr Mrazek's being really bad. We need you to come in and stop the bleeding," and he did, right? So I wasn't too. The only concern was that the atmosphere in Boston. It's not an easy place to play in.
No.
The Bruins aren't going to make it any easier. Especially with them trailing. But I thought he did a pretty good job. He looked pretty composed. Yeah, there was a couple of times where the nerves were a little bit there. I think there was like the one pass next shot that went off the post that I thought was going in for sure.
Yeah.
But I give the Leafs a lot of credit because they had their foot on the gas. Those first two periods, it was relentless in terms of getting chances. And like we talked about Jeremy Swayman and how good he's been this year.
Yeah.
Reverse
Not a
jinx on
very
that
good
one.
outing. Yeah. I get we jinxed them.
Yep.
We typically we jinx the Leafs and we say good things about Toronto and nothing happens.
Or
And
we
then
or we talk up a guy so much that he ends up proving us right.
yeah, today wrong. We talked up Jeremy Swayman and he went out and he laid an egg, ended up getting pulled after 2 periods, allowed 6 goals through 40 minutes of play. You're out of there to start the third. Linus Olmark came in and he shut the door. The Leafs didn't really get that much going offensively, but they were more so in protection mode at that point anyway. Um, but yeah, I thought that the Leafs had a pretty solid game overall. I thought they came out and they had some jump to them. They, in a way, matched the physical. They didn't like match the physicality, but they didn't shy away from it. I think
No.
is what I would say. Like Bunting had that one reverse hit on McAvoy, which they both end up getting penalties off of because McAvoy's a little baby and can't risk getting his offended, I guess, by being reverse hit. I don't know what the hell happened there, but anyway,
It was also like
nice little first hit.
McAvoy hit Bunting without the puck. Like they were celebrating like how McAvoy was hitting everything tonight. It was like, yeah, but he also hit guys when they didn't have the puck, which is
Oh,
clear.
dude, he wasn't going for pucks. He was going for bodies. Like
Yeah.
like again, there could have been probably a couple of interference calls built in there somewhere,
Oh yeah.
but what are
And
you
that's how
gonna
the
do?
Leafs got all those odd man rushes is because
Right.
Bruins.
Right. And able to score on those odd man rushes, except for the 2-on-0 with Marner and Bunting. Don't know what the hell I was all about too. One of you two got to take the shot here. Come on. Come on. One of you two just take the shot. All right. Let's get to our 3 stars of the game here, Dave. Actually, why don't we take one more break? And then when we get back, let's get into the 3 stars of tonight's game. Do we have another sponsor here that we got to raid?
No, we don't have. We do have an audio sponsor, but no other
Beauty. Beauty. So
sponsor. Go ahead.
yeah, we'll take a quick break for the audio. For those listening via podcast, we'll take a quick break. We'll hear from one of our show sponsors, and then we'll get back. We'll get into the 3 stars of tonight's game. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. I'm Mike DiStefano. I've got Dave Morassutti with me. We are your hosts of the show. Just a reminder that we do episodes each and every day, Monday to Friday. You can find it the audio format or wherever you get your podcasts. Also find it video format each and every day, Monday to Friday on YouTube as well. All right, 6-4 final. The Maple Leafs once led 6-1, then kind of allowed them to get back into the game by the end of it. But 6-4 was the final. They eventually were able to hold on. Let's get to our 3 stars of the game here, Dave. Kind of I don't want to say it was difficult for me to find 3 stars, but there was just so much going on in this game that it was like I have a hard time really like what's the word I'm looking for? Contextualizing all of the
Like
like
just
really
pinpointing who exactly were they were.
yeah, like there's only so much room in my brain for what happens in a game. And I feel like all the shenanigans took up most of my memory. And then I had to think like, okay, so what happened that was on the ice? Like what actually factored into the actual hockey game? And I had to kind of go back and remember and look some things up. But I came up with my 3 stars. And hey, by the way, when you had Austin on last week, I listened to the podcast tossed out a little chirp towards my way about how I kind of cheat in my 3 stars. And I'm cheating again here, buddy boy. Cheating again here, pal. It's not a cheat, okay? It's my show. I can do whatever the hell I want when I come up with these. Our show. It's our show. But I'm cheating for a 3rd star because I'm giving it to the Harvard boys.
God
All right?
damn it!
Giving it to the Harvard boys. Alex Kerfoot and Colin Blackwell. We were all thinking like, oh, Nick Abruzzese will be nice. Get him a homecoming type of game, a Harvard kid. He'll have some friends, maybe some family in the building. It'll be awesome. And then we hear midway through the day, actually, he's not going to play. It's going to be Kyle Clifford instead. And kind of broke our hearts a little bit, not going to lie. But little did we know that it was still going to be kind of a Harvard homecoming game. Both Kerfoot and Blackwell scoring tonight. Blackwell got the party started early. Really nice play, just kind of going to the net with your stick down. That's kind of like the basics that they teach you in hockey. Go to the net with your stick down, and good things will happen. He had I guess a what would you call it? A season high in ice time as a member of the Maple Leaf, I think would be the correct way to
Yep.
phrase it. 14 minutes and 29 seconds tonight of ice time after being like 8, 7
8 minutes. Yeah.
minutes through the first few games. So that was really good to see him there. But the fourth line in general, also just a really solid effort tonight. The newly formed fourth line, I guess, of Blackwell in the center spot with Spezza and Clifford on the wings. They had a 83% expected goal for percentage, and then also an 11-3 shot share out there tonight. So when good things were happening when the fourth line was out there, and Colin Blackwell was a big piece of that, and Alex Kerfoot had himself a good game all around as well. So wanted to give some love to the Harvard boys.
Yeah, I was gonna go with the Harvard boys as well. Like I was totally prepared for that. You kind of stole my thunder a little bit, which is good. We're on this. We're synced up here. We're mano a mano in all this. I thought Sheldon Keefe made the right choice too. Like we were wondering how is he gonna get that fourth line going, and it was just a simple. All right, Spezza, you're gonna go on the wing. Blackwell, you're gonna go at center, and Clifford's gonna draw in. And it looked like a totally different line tonight, and it was such a subtle thing that he did. And like Blackwell, like that, I'll admit that got me fired up. Like right at the start, fourth line, getting that first goal. It's just like it kind of gets you going a little bit there, and that's when like the floodgates started to open a bit for the Leafs. And yeah, I like that the fourth line was a plus for a change after they were a little bit of a concern the last few games.
Big concern. Big concern the last couple of games. All right, I'll let you go first with your 2nd star of tonight's game.
Gonna go with the captain, John Tavares. He made sure that Brad Marchand wasn't going to run his mouth, liberally. Like he made sure that he was going to let him know that he was also being a rat and a pain in the ass. 2 assists on the night. I thought he had a great play. On the Riley goal, him and Nylander did some great work on that one after they've been getting a lot of the spotlight attention for their inability to play very well. So I thought Tavares had a great game for the Leafs, and these are the types of games you need to see from Tavares if you expect to do well in the playoffs. You're going to need someone else other than Matthews, Marner, and Bunting to step up, and I think JT did that tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I had him as my second star as well. So we're in sync here once again. Yeah, John Tavares, I thought that had a really good game. I guess the only thing that I'm going to add is just when you take a look at some of the more advanced numbers, that Natural Stat Trick led the team in individual expected goals tonight, had 4 of the team's 8 high danger chances at 5-on-5. So he was in and around the net all night and had a couple of good looks. But ultimately finished the game with a couple of helpers, 4 shots on net, couple of hits, and he was getting into it, right? Like he was getting, I don't want to say into it, but like he was in the mix, I guess we could say, with all the dirty stuff. We already talked about what went on with Brad Marchand, and it's nice to see your captain kind of get out there, and I see Morgan Riley also kind of get out there and be a little vocal on the ice when
And
stuff
Ilya
was starting
Mikheyev.
to. Ilya Mikheyev as well after the goal. Yes, when they scored the goal. What happened there, by the way?
So what happened was they scored. Connor Clifton pushed down, I think it was Kerfoot or someone like that in front of the net.
Hmm.
And McCabe did not like that. Like
No,
that's Bush League, right? That's just you're being a
dude.
sore loser.
No,
Like,
it's the Boston Bruins, bro. That's just the Boston freaking Bruins. They're a bush league. Look at them.
oh man, Locked On Bruins is gonna hate this episode tonight.
Clip it, clip it, and send it to Locked On Bruins. Locked On Bush League.
Hey, we might be getting a lot more chirps going once playoff time comes around. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Dude, honestly, I'm in the minority here, but I love a 7-game series,
I
Leafs Bruins. I
I
love it.
would I would like it too. I
Yeah.
think it would be a great matchup.
Oh, would it ever? Would it ever? All right. Number 1 star on the night. I'll go first. I'm cheating again here, pal. I'm calling it the 4 horsemen. Morgan Riley, Timothy Liljegren, Mark Giordano, and TJ Brody. They had to play half of this game tonight with just 4 defensemen. And those guys stepped up big and they played hard, I thought. They played extremely well. You look at the total ice time for these guys at the end of the game. Morgan Riley, 25 and a half minutes. Looking at Mark Giordano, 22:42. Liljegren, 20:54. And then TJ Brody, a team high, game high, 26 minutes, 5 seconds. Just a real solid night from the defenseman. Morgan Riley, a couple of points. He leaked out. He got himself another goal tonight, just jumping up into the play. I really like, and I hope that Lyubushkin's injury isn't long term because I like this Riley Lyubushkin pairing because what we've seen lately of Riley is him not having like he just doesn't even have to think. He just activates knowing, okay, I've got a solid D man behind me who, if I do jump up into the rush, like he's got my back. Like he's going to hang back and he knows what he's doing. He's reliable in his own zone. And that's allowed Riley to really get some offense going. This is what, 2-3 games in a row that he scored a goal, at least 2 games in a row. But if he's got points, he's racking up points here of late too. I mean, that's just purely jumping up into the rush. He had what, 4 points in the game, or was it 3 assists maybe? The other night in Florida. So, Morgan Riley is really starting to pick it back up offensively, and that's just him jumping up into the rush. And Giordano plays sound 2-way game. I thought Liljegren had another real solid game. Brody, funny enough, of the bunch, probably the one who had the worst game, I would say. There was a couple of
Yeah.
plays. Obviously, the Curtis Lazar goal was he was on the ice for that one, and that was kind of a bizarre play. But at the end of the day, also was the power play goal looked like it went off of Brody's skate as well. So a little bit of an off night for Broads there, but hey, you're allowed to have those every now and then. The guy's a beacon of consistency typically. But the 4 horsemen came out, and there was a lot on their shoulders trying to play against a tough and rugged Boston Bruins team. And they came out, and I thought that they played fantastic through the back half and didn't really look all that tired, which is surprising when you're just rolling out the same, 4 guys, line after line after line, shift after shift. Apparently, Sheldon Keefe said that there was a plan in place that if they needed it, they were going to send a forward back there for a couple of shifts.
I
I'm
really
curious who
want
you
to know
think
who
that would
that
have been.
was.
Who do you think that would have been?
I would just think like it had to be a guy who can like skate really well, maybe like an Ilya Mikheyev or
That was the player I was thinking as well. Maybe toss Ilya Mikheyev back there
yeah.
for a play, or potentially like a David Kampf, maybe a Kampf
Yeah, like
type
or
of guy.
Michael Bunting, like somebody that can, good sound defensive positioning and can and decent skater. Those are kind of the two criteria I was thinking for forward to be able to play defense. So maybe this is something the Leafs might have to practice a little bit if they have to consider that.
I hope not. I really do hope not. But Justin Holl and Lyubushkin did leave the game, and we'll hopefully we get an update on them tomorrow, and we will obviously share that with you when we do get that update. But if they can't go, well, that's gonna shake up the D pairings once again. That's one thing. Well, actually, not really, because they played. You could really just put Riley and Brody back together, and then Lily and Gio played well, and then you just kind of go back into the minors and you try and see what you can get. Dahlstrom they called up, but that would suck. That means that there's 4 defensemen who would be injured if they can't go. But hopefully, fingers crossed. Knock on some wood that they were just out for the game. They did call it precautionary reasons. So hopefully they can play Thursday in Winnipeg. Your first star, Dave?
I'm gonna have to go with the guy who is 1 goal away from 50 this season, Austin Matthews. I didn't think he was the best player at all tonight. I
Mm-hmm.
thought he had a very tough assignment, having to be basically on Patrice Bergeron the entire game. Was 60% on the draw, which going up against Patrice Bergeron is pretty impressive. I think that Austin Matthews has come a long way with that. I thought defensively it wasn't their best game as a line. They actually didn't play that much at 5-on-5 when you look at the final numbers there. But
It's because
I just
half the game was played at 4-on-4. It seemed.
yeah, oh yeah, that kind of plays it. I think that plays into a factor. I guess maybe if we do even strength, that might change it a little bit. But yeah, Austin Matthews played quite a bit more when you do it as even strength versus 5-on-5. Um, I also just think this guy is going to be special when he hits 50 because the Leafs haven't had a 50 goal scorer since 1994, Mr. Dave Anderchuk.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know Rick Vive has said recently that when Austin Matthews breaks his single season goal record at 54, he wants to be in the building for that. He wants to give Matthews the salute when that happens. And I think we're getting close to that.
We are, man. I thought we might get to 50 tonight.
It
It
was
kind of
close.
seemed like we could get there, and it did not. But perhaps, to do it against Winnipeg, maybe in front of Pierre-Luc Dubois. They've had some battles in the past. Should rip it right in his face and give him a little wink. Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. All right, so you're giving your first star to Austin Matthews. Yeah, it wasn't. I'll agree with you that it wasn't they didn't play awful, but it wasn't their best game that they've had. It was definitely more of a quieter night from that trio that's out there, which is good that the second line stepped up and had a good night, and then also the fact that the fourth line ended up creating and scoring a goal, and obviously you get a goal in the power play as well. That's going to help you out there. All right, Dave, I think we'll leave it there for the night. Really appreciate everybody for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all podcasting platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti. Also follow the show at Locked On Leafs. You can now catch us on YouTube as well. Locked On Leafs on YouTube. Make sure that you do subscribe to make yourself eligible for our 500 subscriber giveaway. We're less than 200 away, so we're well past the halfway point at this point in time. So let's get to 500 quick. I want to get this out. Also, I did see somebody on YouTube say that they're a fan from down under, and wondering if we will send it abroad to Australia. The answer is yes, I will. I will send it abroad to Australia. I
We'll
don't know
send
what's
it
going to
wherever it
cost
needs
me.
to go.
I
I
don't know what
won't
it's going to
personally
cost
go
me.
there, but I will definitely send it wherever it
Yeah,
needs
no,
to
I
go.
will not personally hand it to you in Australia unless you want to pay for my flight out there. Then I'll gladly go ahead and do that. But for whatever the postage is to send this bad boy all the way across the world to Australia, I will absolutely do that. And if you're living in France, in England, in America, and
In
like
Italy,
Nunavut, Nova Scotia, wherever the heck you are in this world, if you win our subscriber giveaway, you will get this in your mailbox.
and we'll include a
Absolutely.
little note in there too, maybe. We'll give a little personal
Oh, for
touch to
sure.
it.
For sure. For sure. All right, that's going to do it for us here today. We'll be back with another episode for y'all tomorrow. Hopefully, get some updates on some of the injured players from this game. Wishing everyone well. We'll also be teeing up the game against the Winnipeg Jets. Until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.